everyone and welcome back to my channel. That was a car driving by. Today is the first day of my Christmas vacation, which means that in the next 2 weeks you will probably see a bit more videos from me, which I hope you don't mind. I will have lots of time to read and relax, both with my family over Christmas but also to myself. For that reason I'm extremely happy right now. So I thought I would start off this Christmas vacation with filming a video about some of my favorite things, and that is of course books but also big books in general. In today's video I have found 10 of my biggest books in my collection, which are books that are over 800 plus pages, because that is a big book in my eyes. Some of them I've read, some of them I haven't read, but all of them are recommendations because they are books that I have spent my money on because they inspire me to read and I really want to get to know that story. And if you're like me and you like big books, I'm pretty sure you're going to like the content of this video. I'm going to start out with a dystopian that I haven't read yet, and that is The Passage by Justin Cronin. This is a book set in an apocalyptic world in which everyone is dying from this disease that I think turns people into a vampire. Our main character is one of the survivors and she has to live and survive in this apocalyptic world. I don't know too much about this other than there are 2 other books out in this series, so if I really like this one, which is quite popular all around, then I have 2 more books to look forward to. The next big book in my collection is one I have read, and that is Blonde by Joyce Oates. A phenomenal piece of work based on Marilyn Monroe's life. So it is fiction, but it is based on facts from her life, from she's a child until she dies in her late 20s. I'm pretty sure she's in her late 20s. I flew through it, even though it's a very huge novel. I was enchanted by the story and I was fascinated with the fact that it is actually based on her life, so that sometimes I found myself googling facts and realizing that it's actually the truth that this is based on, but at the same time it's fiction, so I had a lot of fun finding out what is fiction, what is the truth. But all in all, I really enjoyed it, and even though it is a huge novel, I strongly recommend that you at least check it out if you have any interest in it. I have made it to some of my classics because some of my favorite classics of all time are pretty huge novels, and the first one is Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. I love this Russian classic and I actually own this book in 2 editions. This is my carry around with me edition, but I also have this gorgeous Penguin cloth bound classic edition, which is a hardback and it's kind of fragile, so I don't like to carry this one around with me. This is a beautiful romance story about Anna, who is married but who falls in love with another man, and then it's about her struggles. This is an emotional story. I love it to pieces. I've read it a few times and I know that this is one I'm going to reread again at some point in the future. Just Russian novels in general are impeccable in my eyes. They have this feeling of cold and winter, but also love and great stories. I don't know what it is, but Russian literature just really appeals to me. Next novel is also a classic, and I'm pretty sure you've heard of this one, Gone with the Wind by Margaret Mitchell. I have read this, I have loved it. This is an epic story, and I really mean epic, about our main character, Scarlett O'Hara, who is quite a character. She's not that likable, but I did like her. I found her very honest and I loved her for that. Of course, I did find some faults in her personality, but don't we all have faults in our personalities? Besides from me, obviously. I'm kidding, by the way. It's an epic story. It takes you through so many stages of Scarlett's life, but also of America during the American Civil War. The layers that this book gives you are just amazing and worth discovering. So definitely pick up this book. I recommend it. Even though it's huge, it's one of those novels that you can dive into and fall in love with, and that ending is worth the journey. This looks so good in my eyes. So the next book is also my biggest book in my collection, and that is The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I haven't read this one yet. I am quite intimidated by it because it is a classic and it is an adventure story, which doesn't always appeal to me. So why would I buy this? Because it is a classic and so many people love it, and I had to have this edition. So at some point in my life I will pick it up, but as for now, I'm still very intimidated by it. It is, after all, over 1,000 pages. But look at this edition, it's just absolutely stunning. Next one is also one of these cloth-bound penguin editions, Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. Now, I'm a French teacher, so I kind of feel like I need to read this story. I haven't read it yet, but sometimes I do use parts of this story in my teaching, and I also really want to know the story behind Jean Valjean, who is our main character and who was a prisoner but who has now been let out from prison, and then it's about his life afterwards. I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. It's an epic tale, and it's also a musical and a movie. I know that. I haven't watched any of those, so I still don't know what this story is really about, but I will find out at some point. And the next one is also a classic, but I do have other books which are not classics. However, this one is War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy, another Russian epic tale, which I read many years ago as a teenager, or maybe I was in my 20s, but what I recall from this story is that it contains a beautiful story about love and family in Russia. But it also contains a lot of battle scenes, including Napoleon, which I didn't care for that much. It's a huge novel, and while I enjoyed it at some parts, I didn't feel like I got that much out of the story. So this is one that I've read, but I wouldn't say that I remember all of the story 100%. Next, we have a new acquirement of mine, and that is Lonesome Duck by Larry McMurtry. This is a Western, and it's supposed to be phenomenal. A lot of people have commented on my videos and told me that this is one of their favorite books, so I'm so excited to pick this one up. I do love this edition though, it's really stunning. So yeah, another great story I can dive into and stay with for many pages, and that makes me so happy. Second to last book is a book which I'm happy to be able to say I've read, but it's not one that I would say that I recommend or that I enjoyed that much or that I remember 100%. I'm talking about Don Quixote by Cervantes. I read it back at university because I felt like it, I'd heard about it, and it's one of those epic novels that you have to read. At least I thought so back then. So I did, and I remember a lot of scenes in which two guys are on a journey on a donkey and a horse, and one of the guys is a knight and the other one is his assistant. That's what I remember, and that's what all of these pages are apparently about. Of course, that's not true, but once again, this is one of those big books that didn't make that big of an impression on me. I do hold on to it though, because I like to have it in my collection. I have fond memories of reading it when I was younger, and it's just a nice book to have, I think. The last book I have to show you is the one that's not quite 800 pages long, but it's 30 pages short of being that, so I thought I would include it anyway, and that is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This is a story about Theo, who lives in New York with his mother, and then all of a sudden he loses her, and I'm not going to tell you how, but it happens pretty early in the story. So this is a book about him growing up and finding his identity in and around New York. But it's one that I'm for sure going to pick up again at some point, maybe next year, maybe not. That depends on my reading mood, but definitely one that I absolutely recommend, especially because of Donna Tartt's beautiful writing style. That is it for my big books collection, which I'm so happy about. Maybe you got some inspiration from this video, or maybe you have some ideas for other big books that you would like for me to check out. I would love to do that, because I'm always on the lookout for another big story to dive into. So if you do have that, please let me know in the comments. Until my next video, have a great day and happy reading.